Hey folks, welcome back. This is Chris in Central Pennsylvania. You know, a few years ago, when I decided to start using my YouTube channel to produce videos on strategic topics of interest about Africa, I did so as an effort to support my nascent consulting business after retiring from active service in the military. I wanted people to be able to see what they were getting and realize that maybe that's the guy we want. Anyway, that all went south with the COVID nonsense where I couldn't travel around the world. So the videos suddenly took a life of their own. People were fascinated. Who is this guy? What's he all about? We want to watch his content. And my channel took off until YouTube censored it and removed it. Illegitimately, by the way. And after Susan what's her name, who's now passed away, left YouTube, my channel was restored last year. Anywho, as I like to say, I'm making this video because something I saw in one of my videos raises a concern or a topic that I talked about a long time ago, and was one of the reasons why I was reticent initially to use YouTube. YouTube to me, prior to my retirement from the military, was just another site where kids posted videos. It wasn't particularly interesting in many respects, but I began to watch some videos on it just before I retired from active service. And it was the one platform that offered a free site with free storage for content, and if you reached their threshold, you could live stream. And it seemed like an interesting way to reach people, particularly as lockdown got into place. So I began to use it. Now, like many YouTube content creators, I was a bit inexperienced, and there were some growing pains learning how to use it. I had to switch from a laptop, which was underpowered, for that sort of thing, to my PC, which because of an integrated graphics card, also wound up being underpowered, to building a custom-built gaming machine, which solved all of my problems. Well, at least my computing problems for producing content. But a comment on a video that I did earlier this morning about Big Daddy Liberty, Sia Ngabisi, a gentleman from South Africa, raised a topic that I want to talk about in this video. They hire YouTubers because they're too lazy to look. Shame on the Democratic Alliance, from Ronaldo, Roman, and now Big Daddy Liberty. So if you're scratching your head, I understand. I'm scratching mine too. What is this all about? What's the problem with Big Daddy Liberty? Well, as we've seen in South African media and here in America as well, using the affectation YouTuber to explain or describe somebody is often done in an attempt to diminish who they are or what their content is all about. Now, in the case of Sia Ngabisi, the gentleman is a farmer. He's also active in fighting against farm murders. And as I ran through a list of his accomplishments and his previous service, he's done things like been the head of strategic operations for the Institute for Race Relations, and he also has a social media presence. The guy worked as a spokesman for the Western Cape Department of Social Development and a researcher helping the Democratic Alliance with strategic communications, and he's got degrees to support that. So he's accomplished. He's done other things. YouTube is merely part of his presence. Now, I was a little reticent to do this because, of course, I spent decades doing all sorts of things and running $3 billion programs and learning multiple languages, leading peacekeeping efforts, rebuilding militaries, running HIV programs, yada, 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 yada. The list goes on and on. University professor, published author. That's not really germane. But I didn't want people to look at me and go, well, that guy's just some YouTuber, lumping me in with the 17-year-old who's never done anything in life, who takes off because he said the right thing or because she's got the right size breast or whatever it is that makes those sort of accounts take off. So I was a little reticent. But when I began doing this in 2020, I quickly realized that YouTube is actually a viable platform, pre-censorship, viable platform for people to actually get information out. And there's some really incredible content on YouTube. They have the best business model. However, to this day, especially in South Africa, but not exclusively, see it in the United States too, there is an intentional effort to use the term YouTuber, as we see in the case of Ronaldo Gous, who's an accomplished politician who successfully served as a ward counselor in Nelson Mandela Bay. He's actually got something on his CV that he's done, not just been a YouTuber. In the case of Roman Kabanak, he's an attorney. I don't know much about his practice as an attorney, his other business interests. I know a little bit about it, so I'm not going to attest to that. But I can attest to Sia Ngabisi. Yeah, I can attest to Sia Ngabisi. I can attest to some degree to Sia Ngabisi and Big Daddy Liberty's presence and what he's accomplished. Make no mistake, folks. When the press calls you a YouTuber, their intent is to diminish who you are as if you have no genuine bona fides. You're not a subject matter expert in what you talk about. Now, don't get me wrong. YouTube is full of millions of content creators that don't know their backside from a hole in the ground, who have no idea what they're talking about, and they have millions of followers just because people are gullible or because maybe they're more attractive. But the insightful people, people who know what they're talking about and think critically, like Citizen Concern, that's one of them. For the most part, she thinks critically, and she's pretty well informed. Those sort of folks are not simply YouTubers. Now, I don't know anything about her background. Maybe she's accomplished in something, but it really doesn't matter. I watch her content because she poses interesting questions and she does insightful commentary, and that's what matters. If she gets offered a job as a deputy president, does that mean she's unqualified? Maybe, maybe not. But simply dismissing her as a YouTuber is childish and uninformed. And that's what's going on here. So the next time that somebody with poor impulse control decides to post a comment on a video because someone put it up there, like I was just responding to some of the comments on my other channel about the Donald Trump video, people who don't bother to watch the video, they don't even read the full title, and then they come and personally insult me and attack me. Grow up. That says more about your character than mine. Anyway, folks, this effort to belittle and diminish people by calling them YouTubers, spare me. Now, this comes out of an outgrowth of a number of people who were nobodies, who had accomplished very little in their lives. And I'm not going to name any of them out, call any of them out, but you know who some of the people I'm talking about, people with hundreds of thousands and millions of followers here in the United States in particular, who became famous for being streamers. And that's how they became famous. And there's nothing wrong with that. But they don't have a CV full of accomplishments of having been a doctor or having been a leader or having run a business or having done this or done that. They have none of that. But that doesn't diminish their content. But that's all they've ever done. Just because you do independent journalism, you didn't go to journalism school, you do independent journalism doesn't mean you're not a journalist. It also doesn't mean you are a journalist. So you have to be discerning and select the content that interests you. And quite frankly, Big Daddy Liberty's content interests me, not because he's a YouTuber, but because of his background with the Institute for Race Relations and his worldviews. Ronaldo Jose interested me not because of his background and the fact that he was a ward counselor in Nelson Mandela Bay, but because at a time when few people were saying things about South Africa need to be said, he was saying it, provoking conversations. Roman Kabanak is just a cheeky guy, and he's funny to watch. I enjoy it. Anyway, folks, what say you? Anybody with poor impulse control want to leave a nasty comment in this video? Feel free. Although we prefer you leave a nice comment. Cheers, folks.